Ladies and gentlemen, shake my hand and welcome to another 365 Money Heist podcast episode where all we do here is sit through very good books. I read to you line by line, word for word, a chapter every day between Mondays and Fridays because we only know what we know and therefore we only operate at the level of which we know. To be more, to become more, to get more, we absolutely need to read more, get more knowledge, and that's all we do, right? So this is my life's purpose, and this is episode 39, guys, and I don't think I've functionally explained why the podcast is very important to me. I am doing this for three reasons. Fundamentally, number one, and this is the absolute driving thing behind it, I have two beautiful kids, and I'm documenting a wealth of knowledge for them just by recording these videos that will stay on YouTube forever. All right, that's number one. Number two, I'm doing this for myself because I only know what I know. Doesn't matter what you think I know, right? At the level that you think I'm at, there's always lots more to learn. And sitting here, being disciplined and taking in this information and going back into my own personal life to actually try it while my little kids grow up and see dad practice those principles and see the fruits of those principles. Then sit through the reserve of all this information. Number three, for you get to go through this journey with me and get empowered. So I'm absolutely happy that you're here. If you like this type of videos, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It lets YouTube know that this is good content. It spreads it around, lets us find people who are like-minded because we want to build a community that is focused on wealth building and mastering their wealth, right? So we are looking at Think Yourself Rich, book number 5 in the podcast, episode 39. And really, we are now in chapter 7 today. And chapter 7 talks about how to activate the psyche money machine. Right, and remember, this is Dr. Murphy's book. Dr. Murphy, being a clinical psychologist, sat down with countless of people over the years with different problems, sicknesses, mental illnesses, physical sicknesses, disparity, hopelessness, depression, blah, blah, blah. And he compiled a treatment series around affirmations, literally around diagnosing the actual problem and what it was that this person needed to do to reprogram their subconscious mind so as to conquer the problems that they were facing and, more importantly, achieve what it is that they wanted to achieve. Dr. Murphy, I've said this many times before, is a heavy theologian, and so part of his influence is faith, right? So that's why his book is very big on faith. Nonetheless, every single human being that I know on this planet can absolutely apply the principles in here, right? It's very simple. Most of the time, there's an affirmation that you need to repeat at night and in the morning and during the day. You need to write down what your dreams are and then feed that to your subconscious mind. The book maps out the practical ways in which to do that. Even the book we did before in the podcast, How to Attract Money, somewhere up in there, right, by Dr. Murphy. Even the future books we're going to do, we're all looking at that, right? So without further ado, let's get reading. Now, so this is chapter 7, how to activate the psyche money machine. To prosper means not just to succeed, but to thrive. To prosper means not just to succeed, but to thrive. When you prosper, you expand. You grow spiritually, mentally, financially, socially, intellectually. In order to truly prosper, you must become a channel through which the life principle flows freely, harmoniously, joyously, and lovingly. If you sincerely want to achieve this, I suggest you establish a definite method on working and thinking, and that you practice it regularly and systematically every day. These words were written in 19-something, and I feel like I tell my traders this all the time. You must be systematic, you must have a methodology, you must be very clear with what you want, and you have to practice it every day. It's that simple. Next subheading, how prosperity thoughts changed his life. I've prayed for prosperity constantly for years. James V told me tonelessly, it's all nonsense. I'm as poor as ever, and that's all I can ever expect. You feel your prayers have not been answered, I said. You got it, he replied. I just hope my situation doesn't get even more worse than it already is. I'm in a hook up to my ears. I wake up at night worrying about how I'll ever get out of this. James explained that he had worked his way through law school and specialized in oil and gas law. When international developments led to a severe cutback in domestic oil exploration, the corporation where he worked slashed its personnel, including the legal department. As one of the new lawyers, he was the first to get the boot. Since then, he had only occasionally temporary positions. I don't know why I'm even wasting my time, he added. Even if my prayers worked, how can they have the effect on what OPEC does next? I'm toast. Let me explain something I suggested. You have already prayed for prosperity, and I am sure you have, but you've spent much more time worrying about poverty and failure. If you present your subconscious mind with two conflicting ideas, it accepts the dominant one. This came up in the previous chapter. All right? Don't mess with me. I can find it for you real quick. This idea that there's a dominant mind. In either the previous chapter or the previous chapter, there's always a dominant mind. Okay, maybe I can't find it real quick. But it definitely came out. I give up because of time. Because of time, I give up. But there's always a dominant thought. There we go. Yeah, chapter 3. I'm not making this up. In chapter 3 of the same book, page 25, if your dominant conviction is that you are entitled to all good things of life, such as health, wealth, love, true expression, and the abundant life, you will experience it accordingly. On the other hand, if you feel that you're destined to be poor and that the good things of life are not for you, you are placing yourself in want, lack, and frustration and self-imposed bondage, right? So that was all the way back in chapter 3, where he emphasized that we're only going to get what we want determined by the dominant thought process in our subconscious mind. I guarantee you there's something in my spirit telling me that there was another quote around the dominant thoughts and perspectives, which we'll find another time. I don't mind, letting that one go, but I'm glad I found the one in chapter 3. So back to our chapter reading, which is chapter 7, where he's talking about how two conflicting ideas in the mind are dangerous. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Right. So, where are we? Right. So if you present your subconscious mind, I'm going back to our chapter 7, with two conflicting ideas, it accepts the dominant one. Your fear of poverty attracts lack and limitation. Why am I broke? Why does nothing happen? Why is it that I'm always stuck? Why is it that last year I was in debt and this year I'm in more debt? Well, your fear of staying in that situation that you're already in produces after its own kind in terms of the situations, right? So it keeps attracting lack and limitation. You mean my thoughts are the reason of my situation? He said dubiously. Exactly, I said. Every thought is creative unless it is neutralized by a counter. He's bringing this thing again up. By a counter thought of greater intensity. Your thoughts and beliefs about poverty have been much more stronger than your belief in the infinite riches all around you. When you visualize poverty, you help create poverty. If you begin to visualize wealth, you produce wealth. By the end of our conversation, James had made a firm decision to change his thinking at his request. I wrote out a prosperity prayer for him and urged him to meditate on it first thing in the morning and the last thing at night. These prayers are not just for James. These meditation cards are not just for James. They are for all of us, right? Just to kind of like bring that up. But anyway, let me quickly read this one to you now. An effective prosperity prayer. It goes like this. I know there's only one source, the life principle from which all things flow. It created the universe and all things therein contained. I am a focal point of the divine presence. My mind is open and receptive. I am a free-flowing channel for harmony, beauty, guidance, health, and the riches of the infinite. I know that health, wealth, success are released from within and appear without. I am now in harmony with the infinite riches, within and without. And I know these thoughts are sinking into my subconscious mind and will be reflected on the screen of space. I wish for everyone all the blessings of life. I am open and receptive to God's riches, spiritually, mentally, and material, and they flow to me in avalanches of abundance. Right, so that is the prayer that was written for James. And I'd just like to quickly highlight a couple of things here. Right, now, next subheading, his changed thinking suddenly changed him into a prosperous person. James V diligently focused his thoughts on God's riches rather than poverty. He made it a special point not to deny what he affirmed by worrying about his financial situation. For 10 minutes every morning and evening, he affirmed the truth expressed in his prosperity prayer. He knew that by doing so, he was actually inscribing these truths to his subconscious mind and encouraging it to become active and release its hidden treasures. A month later, I received a letter from him. Here's an excerpt from it. Last week, I went to a free concert in the park. I accepted the music joyously as a gift. Instead of brooding over the fact that I couldn't have afforded to buy a ticket during the intermission, I got into a conversation with a couple sitting next to me. They were from out of town and I was able to give them some tips about restaurants and shops. When they learned my profession, the woman, Joanne, said, I do believe this was meant to be. She told me that she and her husband were independent operators, what used to be called wildcatters. They decided to expand into my state and their first priority was to find an attorney who knew all the ins and outs of local oil and gas laws. After the concert, they took me to dinner at a fine restaurant. Before the meal was over, we agreed that I'd come to work for them for a significantly higher salary than my last job and a participation in my division's earnings. It is a dream come true. Next subheading. When she wrote her desires in a prayerful heart. How she wrote her desires in a prayerful heart. A young woman came to me after one of my public lectures. She introduced herself as Betty S. and excitedly said, such a wonderful idea came to me while you were speaking. I suddenly saw my conscious mind as an indelible pen. The more I use it to think about what I really want, the more clearly my desires gets written to my subconscious mind. Then my subconscious gets busy making it come true. Is that right? That's exactly right. I told her, smiling at her enthusiasm, you have the power to inscribe your true desires on your subconscious by frequently devoting your mind to the desires of your heart. I'm going to do it, Betty exclaimed, snapping her finger. There are two things I really want, so I think of each of them separately, then it's up to my subconscious to bring them about in the best way it can. I know it will work. Next subheading, her most cherished desires. Her most cherished desires, right. I asked Betty if she was willing to tell me her two desires. Oh, sure, she replied. The first one is to take my mother on vacation to Mexico. I'm going to read that again, sorry. The first one is to take my mother on a vacation to Mexico. She's always wanted to visit Mexico, but she never had the chance. And the second one I asked, she hesitated with her face turned pink. I want to meet someone, fall in love, and get married. I smiled. Let's see how your subconscious handles that. We discussed how she would approach inscribing her two desires for the first one. She decided that she and her mother would both visualize themselves packing, boarding the plane, arriving in Mexico, and exploring the prerequisite streets, of the town they were visiting. As they did so, both separately and together, they would repeat the thought. Infinite intelligence opens up the way in divine order. Infinite intelligence opens up the way in divine order. 3 weeks later, Betty showed up at my office all excited. You are not going to believe this, she said. Some kid came by last week selling raffle tickets to benefit the local community center. I bought a book of 5. Well, the drawing was last night and my ticket was one of the winners. Guess what my prize was? I took a chance, a trip to Mexico. Betty stared at me. How on earth did you guess? When they told me, I almost fainted. Is that weird or what? No, I replied. It's amazing, but it's not weird. Your subconscious has ways to get results that are truly past finding out. Accept it, rejoice in it. For Betty's second desire, she used her conscious mind pen to write this thought in her subconscious. I know my desire for marriage and happiness is the voice of God in me, urging me to lead a full and happy life. I know that I'm one with the infinite now. I know and believe there is a man wanting to love and cherish me. I know I can contribute to his happiness and peace. I can be a great asset to him. I can cherish, love, and inspire him to greatness, just as he inspires me. He loves my ideals and I love his ideals. He does not want to make me over, neither do I want to make him over. There are mutual love, freedom, respect between us. These words go forth and accomplish whereunto they are sent. I have written this request in my subconscious mind with faith and confidence. I decree it is done, finished, and established in my deeper mind. Whenever I think of marriage, I shall remind myself that the infinite intelligence of my subconscious is bringing this to pass in divine order. A few weeks later, she needed some dental work. Her appointment was the dentist's last of the day. Afterwards, they got into a conversation when Betty told him about her trip to Mexico. He asked her to join him for dinner at his favorite Mexican restaurant. Their interest in each other deepened. Sometime later, I had the joy and the satisfaction of performing their marriage ceremony. Betty has achieved her desires through her insight into the wonders of her subconscious mind. Think prosperous and wholesome thoughts, and wonders happen as you pray. How riches of daily health think about great benefits. How riches of daily healthy thinking brought great benefits. That's the next subheading. Richard M., a software engineer, came to consult me. He told me he was recently divorced. My own fault, I guess, he added. I am just not very interesting. Neither is my life. I go to work, I go to the gym, I go to sleep. Then I get up the next day and do it again. Why would anybody want to share that or even hear about that? That must be why I don't have any friends. I bored them all to death. Suppose you're trying to analyze a computer program, I said. If you saw that every time it produced a certain message, the result was always the same, what would you think? He rubbed his ear and said, fixed approximation, the message is causing the result. So I did try altering the message and see if the results changed. Good, I said. I did like you to consider the idea that your thoughts are creative. When you tell yourself you are boring and friendless, your negative thoughts actually compound the problem. Whatever we give attention to, the subconscious magnifies and multiplies in our experience. I get it, he said. You are saying if I reverse my thinking, I'll get a different result. I am game. What do I do next? I suggested, he affirmed frequently and systematically, I am happy, joyous, and free. I am loving, kind, harmonious, and peaceful. I sing the song of praise in the Lord, which is my strength. He realized and understood the mental law that whatever he had touched, remember, game about the laws, the mental law. He understood the mental law that whatever he had touched to the thought, I am, he would manifest and express. So whatever you say about I am, da 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 da, he will manifest and express. He made a habit of affirming these mental truths and his whole life changed. From what had seemed to be a drab, lonely existence, he went to a full, rich life, new interests, new friends, new close relationships, and a new insight into the wonders of the riches within him. Next subheading, how she planned for prosperity and happiness and got results. Now, I'm not complaining, you understand? Claire R. told me earnestly. She had told me that her husband had a good job with a telephone company. They had 2 young children whom Claire stayed home and cared for. All the same, I feel stuck on the treadmill. Every day the same thing. Cook, wash up, do the laundry, shop, think of stuff for the kids to do. I'm always tired and my mind doesn't work the way it used to. It's as if a spark has gone out. You feel that life is against you, I asked. That's it, she agreed. Well, not against me exactly, but passing me by. I explained that her thought images about her condition were helping create the very conditions that made her unhappy. An emotional Impoverished life is a state of mind, I continued. So are happiness and prosperity. If you can learn to reverse your way of thinking, you will see a real dramatic effect in your life. She began to claim this twice every day. Divine right of action is mine. Success is mine. Wealth is mine. Happiness is mine. God's river of peace flows through my mind, body, and activities. And whatever I do, I will prosper. I know my thoughts are creative. As an engineer plans a bridge, so I am planning prosperity and happiness now. I believe implicitly in the law of the Bible, which promises, ask and it shall be given, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. In this way, Claire R. stirred the gift of God's prosperity within herself. Her relationship to her home, her marriage, and her children changed. She realized the imprisoned slanders within. Money came in from totally unexpected sources, and she became completely satisfied with her new lot in life. Next subheading. There are beauty and abundance where you are. God is indescribable beauty, and God indwells you. He walks and talks in you. Your mind and your spirit, your thoughts and your feelings all represent God within you. The invisible life and power within you is God. Your thought, being creative, is God in action in your life. Begin to contemplate that God's beauty and riches flow through you, your thoughts, words, and deeds, and you will pass on the beauty and riches of God to your family, friends, and neighbors. Give thanks for all the blessings you have. You can make your home beautiful, and you can inspire others to experience the riches of your deeper mind. You are the artist, the weaver, the designer, and the architect of your life. Next subheading. The riches of his secret plan for making a profitable business deal. For years I shopped at a specialty market near my home. It was a family-owned business run by a third generation, and I had a nodding acquaintance with the two brothers who owned it. And I was sad to hear that one of them had died. A few weeks later, the surviving brother, Vincent M., came over and asked if he could talk with me. He explained that his brother had left his half interest in the business to his two children, Vincent's nieces. I don't know why, he said. I love them like my children, but they are making such problems for me. One demand after another. Everything I propose they are against. We have some important decisions to make soon, and I'm afraid it's going to be a deadlock. I know family businesses that went under and had to liquidate because of this kind of problem. I don't want ours to be one of them. Are you in a position to buy them out? I asked. It wouldn't be easy, but I could swing it, he replied. I offered no deal. He replied, I offered, but no deal. They acted insulted that I'd even suggested it. I am at my wit's end on this. You have to let it go, I urged him. The negative energy created by your worries is part of what's creating the problem. With some help from me, Vincent wrote the following on a piece of paper. Sorry. I lose my nieces to God completely. They are in their true place. They are inspired to right action in divine order. Nothing is forever. The condition passes away now. It is in God's action. He put the paper in a file folder labeled God, all things are possible, stuck it in his desk drawer, and forgot about it. And in 2 weeks' time, his nieces came to him. They had realized that their late father would have wanted them to do what was best for the store. They agreed to sell their interest at a fair price. Everyone was satisfied, and harmony was restored to both the businesses and the family. The technique Vincent used was sound. When he wrote down his desired outcome, he was actually inscribing it in his subconscious mind. The act of placing it in a drawer in his desk was simply an outer symbol. He released his problem to the infinite intelligence of his subconscious mind, which is the secret place from which you draw forth the answer to all your problems. How to consider the riches of the infinite. How to consider the riches of the infinite. That's the next subheading. The blue sky by day and the stars by night are there for you as for everyone. You can admire the sunset, whether you're rich or poor. You can listen to the songs of the birds and become enraptured with all the beauty all around you. Begin to see divine presence in all things about you. In the rising sun, the golden moon, the sky, the mountains, the rivers, the rivulets, and the streams. Contemplate the beauty of all nature. Love surrounds you. Life is a mirror that reflects back to us precisely what we deposit in our minds. Look through the eyes of love and beauty, and love, beauty, and the riches of the infinite will come back to you. Longfellow said, "Look not mournfully into the past, it comes not back again. Wisely improve the present, it is the thing. Go forth to meet the shadowy future without fear and a manly heart." We can only say he is anxious about the future to whom the present is unprofitable. God, your good is the eternal now. Claim your good and all the riches of life now. What you can conceive, you can achieve through the wisdom and the power of your subconscious mind. Next subheading, the wonders of a prosperous and healthy writing out of your desires. The wonders of prosperous and healthy writing out of your desires. Every New Year's Eve, I conduct a New Year's prayer for the same group of men and women. We have a custom at these events. Each person writes out clearly his or her desires of the heart. We use only 4 categories: health, wealth, love, and expression. No matter what you seek comes under one of these classifications. If, for example, you request wisdom for your soul desire, that comes under the expression of your desire to release more and more of life, love, truth, beauty, and riches of the deeper mind. I suggest that when writing down their desires, the participants include a wish for a friend or a relative. For example, if a friend or relative had family difficulties, they were instructed to write down, "There is a divine and harmonious solution through the infinite justice and the harmony of God for," in the person's name. How desires written out have come to be fulfilled. Next subheading, how desires written out have come to be fulfilled. After everyone has written out his or her request, they are placed in sealed envelopes and given to one of the participants, who stores them into a safe at home. The following New Year's Eve, each person is given his or her envelope to open and read privately. It amazes everyone to see how many of these desires have been answered during the year just past. One man showed me his request. His important desire had been to have more time for his wife and children. Another request had been to travel with his family. During the course of the year, his company promoted him and transferred him to another part of the country. He was given 6 weeks off for the transition, and he used them to take a long cruise with his family. In his new job, he was living much closer to work, and he had more time at home every day. These men and women write down the deepest desires of their hearts, trusting and believing that the infinite intelligence in their subconscious mind will bring their desires to pass in divine order. I always conclude my annual prayer with the group in this way. We decree that these written desires are inscribed into the subconscious mind of each, and that all these desires come forth in divine law and order. Must apologize, I'm still not feeling well. I've got my voice back, but I can tell it's a bit of a strain, but we're going to power through this. I hope it just doesn't bother you, the coughing and all that stuff. Right, so next subheading, the real secret of it all. The real secret of it all. The secret purpose of writing these desires and sealing them is that we release them completely to the wisdom of the subconscious with faith and confidence. We know that just as the sun rises in the morning, so will there be a resurrection of all these desires in divine order. This is called divine indifference. When you have this attitude of mind, your prayers are always answered. Divine indifference means that you know it is impossible for your prayer to fail. For it is written, he will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Now, here's the meditation. Every chapter, there's always a meditation to end the chapter with. Meditation for impregnating your subconscious mind. The following meditation, sincerely believed and repeated often, will yield you great treasures. Here it goes. But ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Like, what does this mean? The first line, if you're coming to the podcast, be a doer of the things we're talking about. Take action to these things. Do you have a gratitude list? I'm asking you now, for real, for real. Please comment down below this video if you're watching on YouTube, if you actually now have a gratitude list. Second question, that's just do you actually have a place where you write 10 things you're grateful for every day? Be a doer. Second question, are you consistent about that? You must be. Third question, right? You don't have to answer all of them, but at least question number 1, please do answer me. Third question, are you systematic about your affirmations? Every day, in the morning, at night, when you're taking a poop, you have to be systematic. Be ye doers of the word and not people just listen, hearers. Deceiving yourselves. Showing up to the podcast is literally half the battle. Don't lie to yourself and think everything is set. You just showed up, you heard it, nothing to do. No, you need to work on your subconscious mind, right? My creative word is my silent conviction that my prayer is answered. When I speak the word for healing, success or prosperity, my word is spoken in the subconscious of life and power, knowing that it is done. My word has power because it is one with omnipotence, right? With the omnipotence. The words I speak are always constructive and creative. When I pray, my words are full of life, love, and feeling. This makes my affirmations, thoughts, and words creative. I know the greater my faith behind the word spoken, the more power it has. These words I use form a definite mold that determines what form my thought is to take. Divine intelligence operates through me now and reveals to me what I need to know. I have the answer now. I am at peace. God is peace. And that's the full affirmation. As usual, there are always points to take home. So I'm just going to quickly go through 10, or is it 9? Let's see. All right, 10 clean points, summary points of what we learned in today's chapter. Number 1, you are prospering when you're expanding all lines, spiritually, mentally, intellectually, and financially. You should have all the money you need to do what you want when you want to do it. That's number 1. I think that's why we're all here. To get to a place where we can do what we want and have all the money in the world to do it, right? Number 2, the subconscious mind accepts the dominant of 2 ideas. The reason out clearly all the reasons why all things visible and invisible come from one source. All things made by mankind came out of the one mind, and all things made by God came out of the same mind. Think prosperity thoughts. Think of riches of all kinds and the immense wealth of the world, and your subconscious will respond to your habitual thinking. Supplant all thoughts of poverty with the thought of God's opulence, endless resources. Be open and receptive, and let wealth flow freely to you. Be a good receiver. Number 3, your conscious mind is the pen in which you inscribe your true desires in yourself. And it's very powerful. Your conscious mind, your alpha state, your thinking brain, the part of you listening to this podcast on Spotify, YouTube, that's your alpha state. That part of you is the pen with which you inscribe the true desires in your subconscious. Right? Another way to look at it is out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth shall speak. So the things that you're constantly focused on, whether it's lack or prosperity, you will know them because your conscious mind, your alpha state, your awake state right now is constantly writing those things into your subconscious mind, whether you like it or not. So even if you don't want to be poor, but you're always confessing or talking about poverty, deep down, it means that is the expression of the true desires of your subconscious mind. Because remember, only a dominant thought will survive there. Think quietly and with interest of each desire separately, watering it and nurturing with faith and expectancy. Do this 3 or 4 times a day. By frequent habitation of your mind, you will impregnate your subconscious, cherished desires of your heart and will be realized. Now think about this, guys. Do this for 30 days. Please try it for the first 30 days. 2 things. Number 1, a gratitude list every day. There should be 30 entries by the next set of 30 days. That's number 1. You have to do this for 30 days. Number 2, go through your affirmations. He says here 3 or 4 times a day. An easy one is just before you eat, right? Because you can't forget to eat. So if you're like a 3 meals a day type of person, before you eat breakfast, lunch, and supper, always throw in the extra affirmation to quickly help the conception process between your conscious and your subconscious mind. And that one is when you're in the toilet, just go through it. When you're outside taking a break, go through it. All right. Now, number 4, never engage in thinking of lack, limitation, loneliness, and frustration. Never engage in thinking about that stuff. On the contrary, have a mental plan of all things you want and realize that whatever you attach to I am, you will create in your life. Getting a little phrase easily engraved on the memory, such as I am happy, I am joyous, I am free. Repeat it over and over again as a lullaby. I am happy, I am joyous, I am free. Do it knowingly and feelingly. As you sow into your subconscious, so will you reap. Number 5, instead of gambling and whining and complaining about current conditions, reverse that attitude of your mind and claim boldly, divine right action is mine, divine success is mine, divine love fills my soul, and whatever I do will prosper. Know that your thoughts are creative and that you are what you think all day long. Your thoughts are creative, number 1. Number 2, you literally are the sum total of your thoughts all day long. Have a healthy respect of your thoughts. Your thought is your prayer. Number 6, begin to contemplate that God's beauty and riches flow freely through thoughts, words, and deeds, and you will experience the result of your thinking. Furthermore, you will be able to pass on to your family the riches acquired by contemplation. You must have in order to give. Only rich people can contribute richly to all. The poor cannot give. Number 7, when you are in a quad and you're dealing with difficult people, it is a good thing to write out clearly your desire as follows. This too will pass. There is divine and harmonious solution through the wisdom of my subconscious. I loose it and I let it go. Put this written prayer in a folder marked God. With God, all things are possible. This is a symbolic way of releasing it, and it works wonders. Number 8, life is a mirror for a king and the beggar, reflecting back to each of us precisely that which we deposit in our mind. Number 9, I have conducted group prayers on New Year's Eve where each person writes out his or her desires. These prayers are sealed in an envelope, locked away for 1 year, and opened the following year. All the members are amazed at the way their prayers were answered. Many had forgotten what they wrote and were astounded. The secret is that they released all their prayers with faith and accordance and confidence into the deeper mind, which knows all and sees all. They learned when one has divine indifference, the prayer is always answered. Divine indifference is not only carelessness or apathy, rather it means that you know whatever you claim and you feel to be true in your heart must come to pass. Therefore, you wait for the answer with great faith, assurance, and conviction than the person who awaits for the coming of dawn. Number 10, meditation at the end of the chapter will yield you amazing benefits for a daily living. Ladies and gentlemen, and that is the end of the podcast, episode 39 today. I hope you enjoyed this reading with me. I'll see you again very soon for the next one. Next we'll be looking at chapter 8, how to make use of the psyche treasure map. by Dr. Joseph Murphy. My name is Leroy James Maisiri. I am the head trader of 365 Trading Academy. I am also the a head coach or head trader as well at the 365 Trading Flow. I love what I do. My purpose in life is to help you master your wealth. If you like this video, if you like our content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. 365, shake my hand, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.